When it comes to leadership in the U.S., there are two, two type of leaders. We have the Democrats and the Republicans, and everyone has their own ideas. That's why you'll see people saying, "Oh, we'll vote for the Democrats, so we want the Republicans." And today I want to tell you a story of how in Kenya currently you have the Democrats regime. Like whatever the Democrats did in US is the same thing that is happening here in Kenya, because we tend as Africans to copy a lot from the Europeans when they come to our continent. And also if you check a lot of things in Africa, a lot of things in Kenya, even our education system was given to us by the Europeans, the 844. That's why you'll see in education they usually tell you that you need to go to school, like when they shule. After school you graduate, after graduation you get a job, after you get a job you get married, you get kids, then you live a good life. But do you know in Europe, in US, in UK, that's not the thing. That's what you'll see in UK. We have the likes of Akina Lewis Kelly at the age of 17 playing football. In China we have someone very young generating a vehicle, because whatever Europeans do is not what we ape. We have tried to ape with CBC, but I can see it's still just the shambolic system of education that should be done away with. So today, anyway, I want to talk about education. Today I want to talk about Democrats regime in Kenya. And first of all, what is democracy? You see, democracy is a system of governance for the people, by the people. But in Kenya, does democracy mean the same thing as it does in the United States? And today, right here in the Politician's Diary, we dive deep into the workings of the democratic regimes in both nations. We want to compare their leadership styles, we want to compare their political strategies and the impacts on governance, until we get to understand how does the Democrats regime bring it up itself in Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. If you have not yet subscribed, that is the biggest reason you have to hit that subscribe button, because if you are looking for politics, man, then this is home of politics. Now, you know, currently you are at 719 subscribers. Kindly let's make it to 1,000 for things to grow bigger, grow better, because when the subscribers grow, the guests will also start growing and coming in at a very huge rate. You'll be letting us know whom you want to have up on the podcast. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the first thing, let's begin with the concept of democracy, and let's establish what democracy truly means. You see, in the United States, democracy is deeply tied to a two-party system dominated by the Democrats and the Republicans. The Democratic Party champions social justice, progressive taxation, and government intervention in the economy to reduce inequality. Have you listened to the three things championed by the Democrats? That's what I'm telling you right now. In Kenya, we are having the Democrats regime. They champion for social justice, although in Kenya social justice nowadays is something that we Kenyans ourselves champion for. They champion for progressive taxation, that the government does well through finance bill na vitu zingine, and then government intervention in the economy to reduce inequalities, something that the government does in itself. You see, in Kenya, democracy is a relatively younger system, having been established after independence, that is in 1963. While the country embraces multi-party democracy, something that was fought for by Raila Odinga, power dynamics have often been influenced by ethnic alliances rather than ideological differences. You know, people say that in Kenya, politicians should give us important manifestos, but you realize we don't vote to our leaders because of the ideologies they have. We vote to them because of ethnic lines. I'll vote for Ruto because I'm a Kalenjin. I'll vote for Raila because I'm a Luo. My mom is a Luo. I'll vote for George Natembea because he's a Luya and I'm a Luya. Like, we usually vote based on ethnic lines rather than when you should be voting based on ideologies. You see, I think in 2027, what Kenyans should do more is listen to the ideas. If we listen to the ideas of the people rather than listening to the uncouth manifestos, then we'll get good leaders in this country. You see, unlike in the US, where party ideology plays a major role, Kenya's political landscape is shaped more by personality politics. And the moment we'll start playing the personality politics and play the national politics, then I think we'll have better leaders in this country. Now, in Kenya, democracy has been a work in progress. The transition from a single party state under KANU to multi-party democracy in the 1990s marked a turning point. And I usually feel at some point that it would have been better if we could just remain with KANU and KADU in this country, rather than coming to kuwa na vyama vingi venye vitusaidii. Like nowadays, political parties are businesses. Have you ever known that? You can create a political party and sell it. Like, do you know UDA was not for Ruto? Someone sold it to him for a very huge amount of money, similar to URP, the one he used to in Jubilee. It was not his party. Someone sold him that party. And you see, leaders like Mwai Kibaki introduced economic liberalization and oversaw a new constitution in 2010, which was a landmark for democracy. Raila Odinga, who is a major proponent of democracy, has fought for political inclusivity and constitutional reforms. However, unlike the US Democratic Party, Kenya lacks a dominant left-leaning party with a strong ideological foundation. Instead, political movements often shift with election cycles, making governance less about party manifestos and more about coalitions of convenience. And that's why I tell you people, I feel like it would have been very better, really better, if in Kenya tungebaki na KANU na KADU. Because nowadays, we have made the governance all about coalition conveniences. Like, people form coalition based on their interest. Like right now, Rigathi Gachagua, Martha Karua, and the likes are going to form a coalition because of their best interest, when we should be talking more about ideologies. What is KANU's ideology in this election? What is KADU's ideology in this election before we vote? You see, I think there is where we got it wrong as a country. There is where Raila got it wrong by bringing this multi-party shit. Now, what are the similarities and differences, okay? You see, how does democratic leadership styles in US and Kenya compare? And let me break it down for you. Number one, we have the social welfare policies. Now, you see, both systems advocate for public welfare, but while in US Democrats push for expansive government programs like universal healthcare, Kenyan democratic leaders have struggled with full-scale implementation due to corruption and budget constraints. A lot of corruption in this country has destroyed democracy. Economic policies. In the US, Democrats support progressive taxation, while in Kenya, economic policies often favor infrastructure development and foreign investment, but with less emphasis on taxation fairness. What we have is over taxation instead of taxation fairness. And okay, I'll look for someone to talk about this. I think Kenya should revert back to, like, it should only have two parties, and we should use the parties that took us to independence. That is KANU and KADU, rather than having all these uncouth parties. If you're very keen, ODM is dying. Okay, ODM is dying. And also UDA will die, so we'll still have new parties. No, I think we'll have that conversation. Electoral strategies in Kenya. The Democratic Party in the US uses voter mobilization and digital campaigns, while in Kenya democracy is more reliant on ethnic backing and political alliances. Wakale na chama yao ya Kenya Kuisha, Wajaluo na Azimio One, and all that. That's how we define politics in Kenya. But in US they define politics on ideas. Okay, civil rights and freedom. In US, Democrats have been at the forefront of civil rights, while in Kenya, wananchi ndio wako mbele, not even the politicians. The politicians are the perpetrators of injustice in this country, so they cannot even be in the forefront to fight for the civil rights. Or what they do nowadays is they fight amongst themselves. So right now they fought Rigathi, they impeached him. Right now they want to impeach Martha Koome and the judges bench. I don't know why, but anyway, that is Africa. That is Kenya. Now you see, in Kenya, one thing we face is opposition from deep-seated political interests and governance structures. Kuna watu in Kenya wanajitanga deep state. And these deep state niggas tend to control a lot about this government. So they usually influence how a leader operates. That's why I usually say we have puppet leaders, leaders who can't stand on themselves, but rather they listen to the voice of someone. There is someone who just like for instance, rumors are, I don't know if it's true, but I think he's a deep state. This guy called Farouk Kibet, he's the one who controls the government of Kenya right now. Not even Ruto anafuata tu anaambiwa. And if someone is to ask me about the future of democracy in Kenya, I'll say that the youth are becoming more politically aware, which is something good, and digital activism is reshaping the conversation. Nowadays, we bring leaders on X. There is a time the president had a conversation on X. And if Kenya is to build a strong democratic culture like in the U.S., it must move beyond personality-based politics and focus on policy-driven politics. Okay, we should stop doing this personality whatever that yenye tunafanyanga, because you see, democracy thrives on accountability, participation, and justices. While Kenya and the U.S. share democratic ideas, and implementation varies due to historical, economic, and cultural differences, the question remains: can Kenya establish a true ideological-based democratic system like the United States? And if someone asks me, I can tell you one thing, that also the US was colonized the same way Kenya was colonized. So I don't know why. I think whatever has happened, Mali and the likes of Akina Mali have shown us that if Africa decides to take Africa at its own business, it can do very well rather than relying on US. And I'm really happy that Trump alifungia hizo funding, because I think it's a wake-up call to Africans that we should do what we gotta do to change this country. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, those are just my personal views on these issues of democracy. I think number one, to revert to Trudy to Kanu na Kadu. This constitutional reform they are calling for, one thing should be in that constitution reform is not forming a position for Raila. What should be in that constitution is doing away with these shambolic parties that don't help us. Every day someone is launching a new parties. We need to only have 2 parties. Sasa ndio ili wananchi tukue na yetu, Kadu na Kanu. If Kanu is in power, Kadu is for opposition. If Kadu is in power, Kanu is for opposition. That's something that should be in there. Anyway, leave me your thoughts in the comment section. So what are your thoughts on Kenya's democratic leadership? Also, ladies, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the Politician's Diary for more in-depth political analysis. See you on my next video.